Everyone on software engineering YouTube is content farming, vibe coding, and LLMs replacing engineers right now. That's just a hot topic to waste your time and earn ad revenue on. But no one's really talking about Vim and how that fits in with AI. And I'm a lot more worried about that personally because I don't know about you, but I only software engineer so that I can use Vim. If software engineering goes down, I can always jump to linguistics or something like that where I can also use Vim. But if Vim goes down, it's over for me. All these years I've poured into it, down the drain. That would be disastrous. So I've thought about it a lot, and I think that Vim has actually suffered a pretty severe blow with LLMs. And that blow is because historically, there was no real way better than Vim or some kind of weird like automation scripting to do big text macros, converting like a whole CSV sheet into some kind of data structures and programming or any kind of big macro. If you needed to do that, Vim was the only way to do it. But now you can just paste everything in and tell an LLM what to do. And I can't lie, I can't be an elitist about Vim. It works really well to do that with an LLM. And they're getting bigger and bigger context windows. And that's like a simple enough thing that it's not gonna tweak out and start hallucinating like it's on shrooms. It's just like a thing where it can copy and paste over and there won't really be any mistakes, and it's just a lot more convenient. Like even if you're pretty good at Vim, they're often able to do it faster than you are. So that's unfortunate, but Vim's not just like a macro machine, but a lot of people are using Vim now as just like a workflow tool to be like a little faster with motions, and they're not even really good enough to use the full macro system anyway. So for those people, I think Vim is still very valid. Because honestly, like I don't want to talk about vibe coding in this video very much because it's more about Vim, but vibe coding it's not it. I don't believe in it at all. You're generating a bunch of slop at a low level and it can't really do anything extremely complex. You're crippling your learning, all that, yada yada. You've heard everyone's take on it before. But generating like boilerplate kind of code with LLMs, that's all right, but it can be replaced with like a snippet engine like LuaSnip and NeoVim. That's better because the variables are more consistent. It really depends on your application, but I think generally for text editing in Vim is still good because the movement is nice. For me, it makes editing so much more fun that I can do it longer, and it's better to be able to program for longer, enjoy the experience, than to just be like as ergonomically efficient as possible, And a lot of people say this, like it's better to be able to, you don't need Vim because you can just sit there and like 80% of programming is thinking. I don't think that's entirely accurate. There's quite a lot of typing, but I don't think it's the biggest component either. Like you can be a great programmer and use VS Code or Sublime or whatever. But if you're using Vim as like a fun little game, like a lot of people do, then it's still totally valid. But yeah, that's the main point. LLMs kind of killed the macro element a little bit. Not for very, very complicated macros, but yeah. Vim macros though are still very powerful, and I would kind of consider it like driving a manual car versus an automatic car. One is a lot more classy and people respect more, even if it's like the kind of niche people that respect you the most and no one actually really cares in reality. And a lot of people are just moving to doing the easier thing. But it's not like an entirely better thing, like if you can really masterfully drive a manual car, you can be a little bit more fuel efficient by downshifting. And it's the same thing with Vim. Like it may not be that necessary for macros and complicated regex, but if you're good enough to pull it off, it just feels awesome and you'll just have a better experience doing it overall. Yeah, I don't really feel like stretching this out for ad revenue. Subscribe if you want, I guess.